Harrison Graham here from Chat Sports. Breaking news out of the NFL, your classic Friday news dump. The NFL has decided not to suspend star wide receiver out of the Kansas City Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, for the domestic issue involving him and his son, of course, his ex-girlfriend, Crystal Espinal. They have decided no suspension necessary. He will be able to attend training camp, which gets going on July 26th. If further information becomes available, the NFL will take, quote, the appropriate steps. But as of now, Tyreek Hill not suspended from the National Football League. He is a full go for training camp for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here is the NFL statement regarding their decision to not suspend Tyreek Hill. Over the past 4 months, we have conducted a comprehensive investigation of allegations regarding Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Throughout this investigation, the NFL's primary concern has been the well-being of the child. Our understanding is that the child is safe and that the child's ongoing care is being directed and monitored by the Johnson County District Court and the Johnson County Department for Children and Families. In conducting our investigation, we have taken great care to ensure that we do not interfere with the county's proceedings or compromise the privacy or welfare of the child in any way. The information developed in the court proceeding is confidential and has not been shared with us, and the court has sealed all law enforcement records. Local law enforcement authorities have publicly advised that the available evidence does not permit them to determine what caused the child's injuries. Similarly, based on the evidence presently available, the NFL cannot conclude that Mr. Hill violated the personal conduct policy. Accordingly, he may attend Chiefs training camp and participate in all club activities. He has been and will continue to be subject to conditions set forth by the District Court, Commissioner Goodell, and the Chiefs, which include clinical evaluation and therapeutic intervention. If further information becomes available through law enforcement, the pending court proceeding, or other sources, we will promptly consider it and take all appropriate steps at that time. So, with all of that being said, what is your shock level that Tyreek Hill was not suspended? I'm pretty surprised because in audio tapes released on draft night, he says on tape to Crystal Espinal, his girlfriend at the time, "You should be terrified of me too." That's, doesn't that warrant at least a couple of games? Look, obviously the Chiefs were very patient. They were going to see how this thing played out. And as time has gone on, this relationship has proven to be extremely toxic between Hill and Espinal, and she may have some issues of her own, but I think that alone probably warranted a couple of game suspension, so I'm pretty surprised. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Again, Tyreek Hill not suspended by the NFL. He will be a full go for NFL training or Chiefs training camp, which gets going next Friday, July 26th. So you talk about on the field stuff. Big difference, right? You look at the Chiefs depth chart now. You plug in Tyreek Hill. You got Sammy Watkins. Mecole Hardman is probably your slot guy. That backup core looks good as well. Demarcus Robinson is in a reserve role. Byron Pringle had a great offseason. Cody Thompson, the undrafted free agent out of Toledo. You're 6 deep there with wide receivers, and you've got your engine with Tyreek Hill now. We all know what he brings to the table. Almost 90 catches, 15 yards. It's the explosive plays, though. 12 touchdowns, 17 yards per catch. He's an elite kick return or punt returner. He can change the game every time he touches the football. And let's be honest, that's why the Chiefs were not going to release Tyreek Hill immediately like they did with Kareem Hunt. Running backs are replaceable. Tyreek Hill is not. That is the bottom line. They were going to let this play out, and they were going to be patient, and that patience for the Chiefs has paid off. And, obviously you look at his career, he's, when he came into the NFL, kind of just a speed gadget type of guy, but he has truly evolved into one of the best receivers in the NFL. I mentioned the Chiefs side of this. They released a statement as well in regards to the NFL's decision this morning to not suspend Tyreek Hill. Quote, "We have been informed of the decision by the National Football League that based on the available evidence, the league has not found that Tyreek Hill violated the NFL's personal conduct policy. Based on the information provided to us by the league, we have decided it is appropriate for Tyreek to return to the team at the start of training camp. The club fully supports the conditions to return laid out by the league and will continue to monitor any new developments in the case. We're glad to welcome Tyreek back to the team and look forward to the start of training camp next week." Again, the Chiefs were going to let this situation play out because Tyreek Hill is that valuable to their football team. Is it right? Is it wrong? That's not for me to decide. That's for the Chiefs to decide. They've made that decision. He's going to be there when training camp gets going next week. I want to ask you guys, should Tyreek Hill have been suspended? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I personally think he should have probably gotten 4 games or so, even just with the lack of actual physical evidence. Again, the NFL was not able to determine who caused the injury to their son. Could it have been Crystal Espinal? We don't know. But I think the audio tape released on draft night was enough to warrant at least a few game suspension. But again, type Y for yes, type N for no. Pretty split in the chat, seeing some Ys, seeing some Ns. So I think that's going to be common out there. Some people are going to think there's enough, some people aren't. I personally do think he should have been suspended. You look at the history of the NFL on how they've handled issues like this. Adrian Peterson's a great place to start. And yes, the evidence was more clear in that case with him and his son. He got suspended an entire season. Tyreek Hill didn't get a game. I mean, there's some inconsistencies going on. Obviously, the Chiefs are familiar with these situations. Kareem Hunt last year, again, video in that case. He gets an 8-game suspension. Zeke Elliott gets 6 games, maybe the most puzzling of all. Columbus PD dropped that case pretty quick. NFL claim they found enough evidence. We still don't know what that evidence exactly was. He got 6 games. Josh Brown, the Giants punter and kicker, got 6 games. Then Ray Rice got 2 games, of course, for that video a couple of years ago in that elevator between him and his fiancee at the time. Of course, they ended up getting married a few months later. But Tyreek Hill, despite the evidence on the audio tapes, NFL determines there's not enough physical evidence. They have decided as of now to not suspend Tyreek Hill. So now if you're the Chiefs, how do you handle this moving forward? Because the scrutiny is not going to stop. At some point, Tyreek Hill is going to have to talk. I remember Zeke a couple of years ago with the Cowboys. They basically sheltered him that entire season and did not make him available to the media, but you can't do that forever. He's going to have to speak out on this situation about the last few months because it's been quite the hectic 4 months. You look at the timeline. Tyreek Hill's timeline of having issues goes all the way back to when he was in college at Oklahoma State. Pled guilty to domestic assault and to domestic battery, again, against Crystal Espinal. That's how toxic this relationship has been. This has been going on for 5 years they've been together. Of course, Oklahoma State kicked him out. He transfers to West Alabama, has a nice season for them. Kansas City takes a chance on him, drafts him in 2016. That's not all. And you fast forward to this year because, look, since he's been in the NFL, we haven't known about any issues until a few months ago. March 15th, this battery investigation against his son opens up for the Kansas City Police Department. He loses his custody of his son about a month later. Then that explosive audio gets released on draft night. Case reopens. Chiefs GM releases a statement. He's barred from team activity. Of course, you fast forward to May. Lawyer denies the claims. Case is no longer active in June. And then he meets with the NFL for pretty much all day to talk to Goodell and all the people who go through this process in the National Football League. More audio released on July 9th, including Tyreek Hill saying, I felt pressured to plead guilty in 2014. That issue, he's denying that case between him and Espinal going back to 2014. His dad also was on the record a couple years ago. He told Tyreek not to plead guilty to that because you're always going to be considered an abuser if you do. He did not want to face jail time. So that's kind of the timeline here. Again, he's going to be able to attend training camp for the Kansas City Chiefs starting on July 26th. I had an interesting idea. Should the Chiefs suspend Tyreek Hill? From a PR standpoint, even if it is a PR stunt, 2 games? I mean, I think it would be a good PR move from the Chiefs. Look, this guy has had some issues entering the league regardless of how much evidence there is. It goes back to college. He's had this issue with Espinal. The son has gotten involved. Anytime a kid gets involved, I think something should happen. I think the Chiefs should suspend him for 2 games. I think it would be a good PR move. You say, look, we're not, you can't just get nothing for this. Clearly something happened here, regardless of what the extent of Hill's involvement was. You guys heard the audio, and I said the audio. He tells Crystal Espinal that she should be terrified and calls him a bitch. Like, that's pretty damning. Like, so I think the Chiefs should consider suspending him for a couple of games. Type 1 for yes, type N for no, if you guys think that the Chiefs should take their own action. As of now, it does not appear that they will. Here are the current Super Bowl 54 odds. The Chiefs are at plus 800, coming in third in the NFL. We'll update these if they continue to update with the news of Tyreek Hill not being suspended. Patriots, of course, plus 700. Rams, plus 750. Saints tied with the Kansas City Chiefs at plus 800. So look, I think when it comes to on the field now, I think the Chiefs have as good of a chance as anybody to make that run to the Super Bowl. They would have been in the mix without Tyreek Hill, but especially with Tyreek Hill, they are going to be a threat in the AFC. They were last year. I expect them to take another step this year and knock on the door of that Super Bowl. More Super Bowl odds there. You got the Chargers, Eagles, Browns, and Bears. That's your top 8 with those other 4 that we mentioned before. So Chiefs firmly in the mix for being a threat to win the Super Bowl, and they've got their main guy back on offense. Tyreek Hill, who has not participated at all this offseason. He has been working out on his own, but now he can partake in team activities at training camp on July 26th. Would love to hear what you guys think about all of this situation regarding the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to be excited to have him back. I can't wait to see how he handles this with the media. It's going to be fascinating to watch. We'll be live throughout NFL training camps on Chat Sports. Mitch and Tom will do their Cowboys and Raiders stuff, so I encourage you to keep up with us here on Chat Sports. Want to leave you guys with this. With Tyreek Hill, are the Chiefs Super Bowl or bust this season? I think so. Look, there's still going to be distractions, as I said, but they were very close last year. I think throughout the season last year, they were the best team in the NFL. If that defense improves, if this offense continues to progress, Mecole Hardman's in the mix now, Tyreek Hill is back. I think the Chiefs are Super Bowl or bust. Would love to hear what you guys think in the comments section.